Welcome back to another NXT review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. And this is a damn good show, guys. Mainly thanks to the main event and some other stuff that was going on in the show that kind of helped build to that main event. But overall, I thought this show this week was pretty damn good. Like I said, mainly because of the main event. The link to the show will be linked in the description box below. I highly recommend you check out not just this show, but please also check out the main event match between Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro, as that was a damn good match. More of my thoughts on that later in the main event of this review. But for now, comment down below. And also, let's not forget this show was awesome because none other than Alex Riley was on commentary again. Yes, yes, fucking yes. It seems like lately a lot of WWE championships have been opening the NXT shows, and there was no exception this week. It was AJ Lee versus Bayley for the Divas Championship, as pre-announced last week, of course, in that backstage segment where the two pretty much hugged it out. And we even got hug it out chants during the match as well. You know, we pretty much knew there was no chance Bayley was going to win this. And I guess this is my issue with these belts consistently being defended on NXT shows is, you know they're not going to change hands, so it's very anticlimactic, and you know really pretty much what is going to happen, and pretty much what happened, what we thought was going to happen, happened in this match. We knew it would be a semi-competitive match between AJ Lee and Bayley, and in the end, AJ Lee would come out on top over Bayley. You know, we knew there was no chance that Bayley was going to win this, you know, and it's kind of like, it kind of puts a damper on what was a decent match between the two, I guess, but on a show where there was going to be so much else overhyping this kind of thing, then I don't mind this opening the show, I guess. We've seen the Ascension team return, Connor O'Brien and Rick Victor, and they've gone through a couple of jobber teams now, and that's all fine and good. You want to re-establish the Ascension gimmick and put them over strong against these tag teams, and I just wonder when they'll get put into an actual feud. You know, their feud with the Usos a while back on NXT when it first began was really good. I really enjoyed it. It lasted a good 1 or 2 months, actually, and they did a lot of things with that that really helped get the Ascension over a little bit. And I just wonder when the Ascension are going to actually rise, like they keep saying they're going to do. I'd say the best way to have the Ascension rise would be go against the NXT Tag Team Champions, because we don't really have many tag teams in NXT right now, and Ascension are one of the more standout, unique tag teams. Put them up against Corey Graves and Adrian Neville in a feud, and, you know, that will at least get the NXT champions on the show on a consistent basis. It will get the Ascension in non-jobber matches, and you can feature them in ways in which make them stand out a little bit more on the show, other than just the simple jobber match and celebration and then done. I think that's really what needs to be done in the NXT tag team division. Throw some heel challengers at the champions right now. You got it off the Wyatt family. Now we need to try and get something going between the NXT Tag Team Champions and the Ascension, which is probably the best tag team gimmick on the show right now, I would say, now the Wyatt family are gone. So they've been teasing a feud between CJ Parker and Tyler Breeze, and I'm going to discuss everything that happened between these two on the show in one segment. We had a backstage segment with Tyler Breeze wanting a woman to take his picture, but not with her in the photo, because she would ruin what is the beautiful face of Tyler Breeze, of course. And we have CJ Parker photobombing again, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, this is going to lead to something. I didn't think it would lead to an in-ring promo later on in the night. I mean, we had CJ Parker, re-debuting as this, like, hippie guy. I must admit, I'm not really into the character that much, but they had a promo segment between the two after the match. You had Renee Young interviewing CJ Parker saying, "Oh man, it's I'm me, you're you," and you know, I just really can't get into this hippie gimmick that they're doing with CJ Parker. I really don't think CJ Parker has that much talent, but that's just me. But you had Tyler Breeze coming out, and this is the funniest bit of the segment. You had Tyler Breeze coming out with a massive frown on his face. He looked just like Eric Cartman. He spoke just like Eric Cartman. He had the mannerisms of Eric Cartman. This dude may as well just be called Tyler Cartman, because when he gets pissed off, he gets pissed off. And he called CJ Parker a Lenny Kravitz wannabe, and he said his photobombing was ruining his life. Sorry, but this shit just cracks me up. I know the Tyler Breeze gimmick is going to get old and stale soon, but I'm fucking enjoying it, thing. Damn it, I'm fucking enjoying it right now. This will no doubt lead to a match between the two. Hell, this could be interesting, even though I don't really like the CJ Parker hippie gimmick that much. But hell, at least WWE are trying something here, or NXT are trying to put these two in some kind of segment, type up some kind of match, rather than it just be a random squash match, which really I feel CJ Parker could be for Tyler Breeze. But at least they're trying to build up to something between the two, and they've done it over about a month now with the photobombing and everything. I was really interested to see how they were going to use Dolph Ziggler this week. I knew he wasn't going to be the main event, because that was going to go to Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro in their 2 out of 3 falls match. So I was interested to see what they were going to do with Dolph Ziggler. When I saw Alexander Rusev come out, I was thinking, this is kind of random. I thought he maybe would have gone against a more recognized name on NXT, but I must admit, I thought this was going to be a stupid segment, and it ended up being a pretty damn good and interesting segment. Alexander Rusev is a 300-pound, massive Bulgarian sumo wrestler kind of guy that wrestles a Muay Thai style, whatever that is, I'm not too sure. But this is actually a really interesting match. I mean, you've got Alexander Rusev, a 300-pound massive guy, one of the legit big guys NXT have right now, and WWE don't really have too many of those. You know, now Big Show and Mark Henry and people are probably going to be going in the next couple of years. You know, Rusev got a lot in on Ziggler. He was booked as the strong heel. Ziggler got his hope spots in there. He did his usual show-off spots and everything like that, and now I have a really Afro-y hairstyle. This match went much longer. It was much more competitive than I thought it would be. I thought it was just going to be a squash match, and it's actually a really interesting match considering what I thought it was going to be and what it ended up being. And to be honest with you, after this, I would say Alexander Rusev drew the longest straw he possibly could facing Dolph Ziggler, because Dolph Ziggler is one of the best guys, even though in my opinion it hinders him a little bit. Dolph Ziggler is one of the best guys at putting other people over, especially bigger guys like Alexander Rusev. And this match really put over Alexander Rusev very strong, and I hope that now on NXT that he gets a strong push as a big guy, you know, because NXT doesn't really have too many of those. We've got a lot of smaller guys in NXT, so I think this could be a damn good thing for Rusev. And this was more about Rusev, in my opinion, than it was about Dolph Ziggler, which is kind of how you want it to be on NXT. So a segment which I didn't have that much hope for ended up being really interesting, in my opinion. And now it's time to give my thoughts on the main event between Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro in a 2 out of 3 falls match, essentially blowing off this feud they've been having on NXT for the last 2 or so months now. And I must admit, this got plenty of hype. It was announced last week. It got a really good video package at the beginning of the show, in my opinion. And it got a few mentions throughout the show from the commentator and graphics and stuff. So I was really looking forward to this match. I really was. And I've heard a lot of people saying that it was match of the year, a fantastic match. And you know what? I bought into the hype. I really did. I bought into the hype on the internet of people that watch NXT. I knew this match was going to be good. I didn't think it would be called a match of the year, though. I will say that. And sometimes the problem with that is you hype something up so much and it just doesn't match the hype. It's happened a lot of times before on NXT and SCW where I've hyped myself up for a match with, say, Antonio Cesaro and, let's say, Richie Steamboat in a 30-minute Ironman match, and it just didn't come off well, in my opinion. But this sure as fucking hell did. This matched the hype, in my opinion. If you wanted to know how good this match was, all you had to do was listen to the crowd. They were chanting, NXT, NXT, this is awesome, this is awesome. And essentially, at the end of the day, that is what matters. A segment is generally determined on how well a crowd is reacting to the match. And you've got a very sympathetic babyface in there and, you know, an average, in my opinion, heel in Antonio Cesaro that can do things that the crowd will generally pop for. So the crowd are really into this match. I'm going to talk about this match now. This was a great example of 2 guys in NXT that have worked together before on the independent scene that probably wanted to go out there and show exactly what they could do to people who are watching backstage. Now they have this performance center and they can watch all this, etc. in HD. This, to me, was an example of 2 guys who want to make an impression, who want to show WWE exactly what they could do with them if given the right storyline, if given the right writing, if given the right people to work with. I must admit, though, while this match was very good, it did feel a little bit like an ROH match at times, and I must admit, when it gets to that point, I'm kind of like, I don't know really how to feel about the match. I don't like it when all of a sudden this nice built-up structured match ends up being into an ROH spot fest at times. That's just kind of how I felt about it. A lot of people like that kind of stuff. I just get a little bit iffy when that kind of stuff comes along. Now for the match. 2 out of 3 falls. You got Zayn setting off straight away with an early fall using the same roll-up finish as he did in the first time he beat Antonio Cesaro. On the second fall, you had Sami Zayn tapping out to the sleeper hold. Was quite quickly tapped out, in my opinion, but he did do the pre-sleeper hold where he sort of flung him around the ring. Cesaro got the third fall after an uppercut followed by the neutralizer. A really good finish, actually, because he actually botched the spot, but he was so strong that he kept hold of him, lifted him up in the air, uppercutted him, then did the neutralizer straight after. So that was quite an innovative way of finishing. That's the perfect way of audibling a finish, and then, you know, do you know what I mean by that? Now, in my opinion, even though Cesaro won this match, and it was a great match in my opinion, match of the year, I don't know. It was a really, really good match between the two. Match of the year on NXT, I don't really know about that personally. I'll let other people decide on that one. But in my opinion, after this match, and Tony Cesaro wins, in my opinion now, Sami Zayn is a star on NXT. In my opinion, Sami Zayn can be pushed to the NXT Championship, and he could be pushed right now because he's one of the most over characters now on NXT. He is a very good wrestler. Yes, his character may need a couple of tweaks, but people seem to be really getting into his character. I think WWE or NXT need to push him to the NXT Championship, and I think the big match of the year after this, in my opinion, will be Bo Dallas versus Sami Zayn, where Sami Zayn wins the NXT Championship. And I think it's really telling, isn't it, how Sami Zayn has really come along so much from NXT. We knew he was a great talent. A lot of people were saying, oh, without the mask and blah, blah, why they took the mask off. But I think now we're seeing why they took the mask off a little bit, so he could show a little bit more personality and probably impress WWE officials a little bit more that way. In my opinion now, Sami Zayn is one of the top baby faces on NXT, if not the top baby face on NXT. In my opinion, they need to push him straight to the top on NXT, possibly give him the NXT Championship, but sure as hell keep him in that main event spot on the show, especially now the Wyatt family are on WWE TV. A really, really good match between these two. I was very into it. The crowd was very into it. No doubt a lot of you will be into it. It was a really good bout between these two. Kind of almost forgot it was 2 out of 3 falls as well, but, you know, that kind of happens when you get into a match. I've talked about this match for 5 minutes, which is probably way too long, but it took up most of the show. It was the main event. It was a highlight of NXT, in my opinion, this week. And in the end, it was a very good show. I mean, you had a very good main event. You had a very interesting segment between Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. The Tyler Breeze character is continuing to, you know, a lot of people may not be into the character, but I'm having fun watching the character. So I'm liking the way they're featuring Tyler Breeze in different ways and using that character, the strength of the character to the effect, and setting up feuds with him and CJ Parker, which will probably be a squash match, and a pretty decent Divas match in there as well. So this show was pretty good, probably one of the best editions of NXT I've seen in quite some time. So I recommend you guys watch it. Please, please, please give me your thoughts on this show down in the comment section below and tell me what you thought of this main event. It's been me, Mr. Parkin. I'm running out of breath here, so I'm just going to say thank you very much for watching this review, and goodbye.